people, CzarThwomp here, and welcome to episode 33 of the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. Last time, we basically went into more detail about basically what was happening with Goth's photograph. We basically revealed that a flaming arrow was shot by a crossbow by some guy named Enoch Drebber, who was the engineer who worked on the device that Hairbrain was trying to basically create, and it was revealed that basically the device in of itself was all just a ruse. And now, and Susato also may return. Anyways, let's go. I'm so sorry! Did you really have no idea, Professor, about what Mr. Drebber was really up to? I mean, about what he's constructing? I trusted him! He looked like a robot, Mr. Naruto! I thought he was a robot, he was technical, and he could do anything! He was like a Terminator! Naturally, that machine was the embodiment of my hypothesis, of all my hopes and dreams. I had complete faith in it! Alright, in that case, I won't say any more. Now, sadly, the murder accusation against you still stands, so we must do as much investigation as we can before the trial resumes tomorrow. Well, thank you for doing so much for me. I'm so sorry for arriving late this morning, Mr. Naruto. Arriving late? Didn't you receive my postcard? I wanted to let you know when I'd arrive. Postcard? What postcard? I saw your mail, Ryuno! I hid it from you, Ryuno, so it'd be a surprise! Well, did it work? I was surprised, alright, especially when she threw me to the ground. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. I was just so happy to see you again that I sort of just slipped out. Yes, that's the Susato version of a hug. Susato just flips people. Maybe we could stick to more traditional displays of emotion in the future. Susie's train was late to London, Victoria this morning, you see. But we made the coachman really whip the horses hard, so she did miss our trial. I held my pistol to his head. I was watching him in the gallery for a while, but in the end, I'm afraid I couldn't contain myself. Well, I'm glad you didn't. Oh! Having you on my side in court gives me the strength I need to win. So, I'm, delighted to see you back in London. Oh, you're too kind, Mr. Naruto. I'm delighted to be here. I hope I can continue to be of service to you. Of course. So, what's brought you back? Did Professor Mikotoba not protest? Let's save all that conversation for when we're back at home, shall we? You know, I made one of my most special blends ever for this special occasion. Oh, Iris, how wonderful. I can't wait. Susato was back in London. It's hard to describe how happy that made me feel at the time, but despite my elation, our tale was about to take another extraordinary turn. To be continued. No, we are not saving the game. Yes, the legal consultancy. Oh, this room, it's been too long, and it's still so messy, Mr. Ryuunosuke. Why? Why is it always so messy in here? It hasn't changed in the slightest, though. And it's been some 6 months, hasn't it? That's a long time for things to stay so familiar. I didn't know when you might return. I want everything to be as you left it. But it's been some 6 months, it's true. So, it's your father, right, Susie? What happened? My father? Yes, Professor Mikotoba. I mean, it was half a year ago, but that's why you went back to Japan. Because of the telegram you received saying he'd fallen ill with a very high fever for some unknown reason. That's right. So I was surprised to learn you'd be coming back so soon. Surprised but happy. I think I wrote about it in my letter to you, that it was all just a trick. My father is in fine health, and I'm obviously very relieved about that. Though I did throw him through the ceiling. Well, we're all delighted to have you back. It was quite by accident that I was unable to return to Europe, actually. It was quite by accident that I've been able to return to Europe, actually.
It's because of a very grand conference called the International Forensic Science Symposium.
The International Forensic... That's the same symposium Lord Strongheart mentioned.
Anyways, I've arrived safe and sound, and that's all that matters is that I'm here now. After all, I haven't yet fulfilled my promise to you, Iris.
You must tell us everything that happened while you were back in Japan.
Yes, of course, I shall.
And there's one other thing. Something you wrote in your letter that particularly grabbed my attention. About you-know-who. About Kazuma.
I know. I'll tell you all that I can.
But first we must examine everything. The shovel. Thinking back, that spade's been in here since we first moved in, hasn't it?
I'm sure I've told you before, Mr. Naruto. It's not a spade, it's a shovel.
No, shovels are for digging. This is for scooping up loose material. It's a spade.
No, spades are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a shovel.
The great spade shovel war rages on. Tea.
You have water gently boiling on the stove, I see.
It feels wrong somehow if I can't hear the water bubbling away. And we have plenty of logs. It's not like we have to worry about paying for gas.
It's important to open the window for fresh air when the fire's burning, though. You can't keep it closed just because it's cold outside. It could be a matter of life and death. Darn it, Ryuunosuke, this is why I don't trust you with things.
Avoiding the freezing winter air is a matter of life and death, too, if you ask me.
Oh, well. Perhaps a nice cup of tea will warm you up later. Oh, I'm looking forward to making you some tea again, Mr. Naruto.
Which you'd think I wouldn't like, given that I'm not keen on bear flavors, but it's Susato-san's tea. And it's amazing what a little cake or something on the side can do.
I would dearly love to serve you some sort of Japanese sweet alongside your matcha green tea. But I suppose that simply is not possible given how long we've been staying here in London.
Well, I do like the little chocolates you put out with my tea. They go wonderfully.
Oh, Mr. Naruto, you would, wouldn't you?
That gives me a warm glow inside for some reason. You see, I've been keeping my desk beautifully covered in papers as always.
You really must tidy up, Mr. Naruto. No more excuses.
But Miss Susato, the way I see it, all these papers building on my desk like this are a reminder of my wonderfully diverse daily life. I like to leave them as they are, so I never forget how lucky I am to have such varied experiences. Then it makes it where you don't have to organize them.
In that case, you should definitely have a thorough tidy. Then you'll be able to see your papers building up all over again and feel that joy renewed.
Still can't beat her in an argument, even though I'm the lawyer here. I left your desk completely untouched, Mr. Susato, so it would be ready for you whenever you return.
It's beautifully clean. There isn't a speck of dust on it anywhere. You've been cleaning in my absence, Mr. Naruto. Whatever's next? Oh, you can clean my desk, but yet your desk? Oh, no. Apparently not.
Well, I couldn't allow my great assistant's desk to sit there gathering dust, could I?
It really is exactly as it was when I left. I'm so touched. But sadly, your desk is also exactly as it was too.
Well, that's how it should be after all.
Oh dear, I'd forgotten how that clean-cut smile can be so disarming. I see your Daruma still has only one eye filled in.
Well, we agreed that it's something we'd do together, didn't we? You could do it right now if you like. I'd be happy with that.
I'd rather like the anticipation, I think, Mr. Naruto.
Yes, the bittersweet secrets. Your room through there should be exactly as you left it. I've still never been inside. I've never been invited.
Of course not. Only Iris is allowed in my room.
Yeah, though knowing Sherlock, he probably also entered there several times. No doubt I'll be hearing you two giggling away in there again then.
I'm so pleased that see all our sea creatures doing so well in the aquarium.
Yes, the prawns are still swimming and enemies are still swaying. Obviously, I've been looking after them carefully. At first, I used to drool whenever I looked at those juicy prawns, but not anymore. They're like part of the family now.
I don't suppose they'll ever know how close they were to meeting their maker. It must be about a year ago now. I wrote a really long story based on some of my father's old notes. It's about one of Hurley's greatest exploits. I call it the Hound of the Baskervilles.
But then Mr. Sholmes forbade you from publishing it, and put the manuscript between somewhere nobody could get their hands on it.
So nobody used anything about it apart from Hurley and I. But for some reason, you knew the title of it, didn't you, Susie? Oh, it sounds so exciting. The Hound of the Baskervilles. I should love to read it. And you wouldn't tell me. How'd you come to know of it? Yes, but I made a promise that I would explain one day, didn't I? I think it's time. Oh? I'm only sorry I had to keep it from you for so long, Iris. It was completely by accident that I came to know the title of your manuscript, Iris. It was a short while before we left Japan. I was cleaning Father's study and I saw something on his writing desk. A large box of papers. There was a label affixed on the box that was written in English. It read, "The Hound of the Baskervilles."
What?
My Baskerville story? He's plagiarizing it? And he's not paying me royalties? One of the stories says he stole it from me. Holmesy, we're going to Japan. We're breaking kneecaps, Holmesies.
Of course, I had no idea what it was at the time, but Father came in and... Susato, what are you doing?
Oh, Father.
Look, you can't tell anyone about this manuscript. If you do, then the little girl will come and break my kneecaps. Did you look at those papers?
No, I simply read the label, that's all.
Well, put it all out of your mind.
Sorry?
Forget that you ever saw it, and certainly don't tell anyone else about this. Do you understand? But what was Iris's manuscript doing in Japan?
I have no idea. But when I heard Iris mention the word Baskervilles that day, that's how it just slipped out. I would never have guessed. That was an unpublished account of one of Mr. Sholmes' exploits. When I returned to Japan, I asked Father to explain, but he refused to answer any of my questions, and there was no sign of the big box in his office. He burned my works? Holmesies were burning Susie's father now. That's really all I know about it. I've no doubt the father has a very good reason for being so secretive about it, but still. I made up my mind to explain myself to both of you. Well, thank you for being so honest, Susie.
Okay. Let's convert. Give Susato a crossbow.
This was used to shoot down the balloon, wasn't it?
Yes, with a flaming arrow. It's quite a formidable weapon.
I'm quite accomplished with a longbow myself, you know.
No, really?
If you were to bounce an apple on your head, Mr. Naruto, I'm quite confident I could hit it from a good 50 meters away.
Quite confident, you say? Does the apple necessarily have to be on my head? Yeah, Susato just shoots an arrow right through Ryuunosuke's throat. Back in Britain.
When I first arrived back in Japan, I really thought I'd never be allowed to return to Britain. But curiously, after that awful trial at the Supreme Court, Father's mood changed entirely.
The awful trial? Oh yes, for the murder of Jeziel Brett.
Oh, you dressed as a man then, didn't you, Susie? Oh, well, yes. Since women are forbidden in the courtroom, I had no choice. Wow, amazing! I wish I had seen it, don't you, Uno?
Yes, I suppose so.
I want to play at being a lawyer now. I could wear a false mustache, maybe.
Yes, it's not enough that Iris controls the police. She needs to control the courts as well. I don't think any mustache could hide the fact that you're just 10 years old, Iris. I don't know, if Francisca could prosecute at 13, then Iris can do it at 10. And Iris has a PhD already. There's something else I've been meaning to ask you, Miss Susato. It's about the real reason why Professor Mikotoba summoned you back to Japan. You said in your letter it was something to do with that convict's loot that we found in Mr. Natsume's lodgings.
That's right. The very large dog collar we found with the bee emblem on it. It seems Mr. Natsume included a drawing of the collar in the report he submitted about his time in Britain. I understand that when Father saw the report, he turned as white as a sheet.
Why would that be then?
Father came to Britain himself, of course, to study. It was some time ago now, but he stayed for 6 years. I can only imagine that something must have happened during that time. But if he refuses to tell me what it was, then I intend to find the answers for myself. And I've decided that I, for one, won't keep any more secrets. Oh, Susie!
That's a very meaningful look Susato-san's giving Iris there. The symposium. Lord Strongarm mentioned something about that symposium too. I think he said that investigative authorities from 40 different countries would attend.
Yes, and from Japan, my father and the judge, Jigoku, have been invited. It's something of an honor, I believe.
Well, Professor Mikotoba is the leading expert in forensics medicine in our country after all. But who's the other person you mentioned? A judge, did you say?
Yes, His Excellency, Judge Jashiro Jigoku. You met Mr. Naruto last year in the Supreme Court. You can't possibly have forgotten. That terrible trial of yours when you were accused of murder.
Ah, yes, I try to think of that as a positive turning point in my life these days. Well,
it was Judge Jigoku who presided over that trial.
If I'm perfectly honest, I'd be happy to never see that man's face again in my life.
Oh, well, anyways, as Father was invited to the symposium, he agreed to me returning to Britain, too. He won't actually arrive until next month. Well, I couldn't wait. So I pleaded with him, and in the end, he agreed to let me go on ahead.
Yes, about the symposium. It seems as though Lord Stronger has put in an awful lot of work to make it happen. It's obviously very important.
I believe it is, yes. As I understand, Lord Stronger organized the entire event himself. I think he's hoping that by achieving exceptional results, he'll get the job of Attorney General.
The most senior position in the British justice system.
He's hoping to use his power to create the world's finest policing institution. That's what Father said anyways. Apparently, it's Lord Strongar's lifelong ambition.
Does Professor Mikotoba know Lord Strongar's personality then, I wonder? Actually, Lord Strongar gave me a long speech all about this very subject only yesterday. But I sort of lost the will to live early on and didn't listen to much of it.
How trying for you.
Jezio Brett? The woman whose unforgivable actions ended in me being wrongfully accused of a crime I didn't commit? The murder of Dr. John H. Wilson?
Yes, Jezio Brett.
Yes, Jezio Brett. That's a name I won't forget for as long as I live.
The extraordinary thing is, though, it seems it's a name we should all forget.
Sorry?
Since the incident, our government's intelligence services have been investigating Miss Brett. But it turns out that an Englishwoman by the name of Jezio Brett didn't actually exist.
Didn't exist, but
how could that be? She was a ghost, Mr. Naruto. She was a ghost. She was a scary ghost. It's a pseudonym. Her real name was Shin. And she wasn't a visiting student either. It was a front.
A front? Who? Who on earth was she then?
Miss Shin. Her name is literally in all our intelligence services have been able to ascertain from her. Nobody knows why or even know how she came to be in Japan. It's a complete mystery.
But that makes no sense. It's no easy task to be accepted as a foreign student anywhere. What could that would have been up to?
I'm afraid I really don't know. The only thing we can be sure of is that she had some business in our country and that we don't yet understand.
And now she's been killed. While all the questions surrounding her existence remain unanswered.
I'm afraid so.
Shin. Who on earth was she? And why do I feel as though I've heard that name before somewhere?
After my friend Ray's trial, the reporter who actually killed Miss Brett said something very strange.
Ha! 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 Seagulls, take me away! know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on in that visiting student's fate. No one here in command knows anything about it. They don't know that the guy ever made to England, that he died on that steamship, and that he'll never.
Obviously, I couldn't ask him to elaborate at the time. But later, I visited the man in his prison cell and asked him what he was going to say about Kazuma-sama.
And what'd you learn?
After he died on the voyage to Great Britain, his body should have been unladen at the port of Hong Kong and passed into the care of the consultant staff there.
Should have been.
Well, it turns out that his body never arrived. It just disappeared.
What? Kazuma's body vanished?
Our government tried to cover the fact up, it seems. They erected a grave on the cliffs by our hometown, except Kazuma-sama isn't there.
Did Professor Mikotoba know about this?
Yes, it would seem that he did, but he didn't tell me. They're still investigating what happened to Kazuma-sama's body as we speak.
I just don't believe it. And what is this acute feeling of apprehension I have all of a sudden? The Kazuma mystery. Thinking back now, some of the things that happened on the SS Boyo were definitely strange. I mean, after he died, we never saw his body again, did we? Could it be that he's actually still alive?
Stop it, Mr. Naruto. It's too much to bear.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Just thinking about that possibility pains me so very much. Cast your mind back for a moment, Mr. Naruto. When Kazuma-sama was discovered, Mr. Sholmes was there, wasn't he? And he definitely examined the body. I remember it clearly.
Ah, you're right. So if Kazuma-sama hadn't actually died at all, wasn't dead at all, it would mean Mr. Sholmes had lied to us.
But there's no reason why you would possibly have done such a thing.
I suppose that's true. Yes.
The idea that he might still be alive somewhere, it wants to fill me with hope, but I can't let it, because if it turned out not to be true, then I'd be back at the bottom of that awful pit of despair again. I'm terrified of what that might do to me.
Oh, Miss Susato. I know she's given the idea the thought it deserves. It's Susato-san we're talking about after all. So I probably shouldn't push it now.
So, Mr. Naruto, I'm ready to start investigating if you are. I've committed every detail about the case to memory. And Iris has told me all about the disturbing happenings at the Waxworks Museum as well.
So, you're fully abreast to the situation already, Mr. Susato. I'd expect nothing less, to be honest.
I would think our first port of call should be to investigate this Mr. Drebber, the engineer responsible for building the elaborate machine that was used to effect this extraordinary trick.
Yes, a conjurer by sorts, by the sound of it. Well known in the fields of science and magic.
Then we need to go arrest him!
Well, yes. He must know the truth behind this case, so I agree that we do need to find the man.
It sounds like it's a case of tracking someone down. Which is a job for the police, or a great detective.
Are we supposed to guess who she might be thinking of? We don't have much time, so we should get started straight away, I think.
Good idea. Well, best of luck then.
Oh, you're not coming today?
I'm going to Brixton Road shortly for the herb market. I need to get my poisons. But let me know later how you got on, won't you?
That was a little abrupt. The pull of the herb market must be strong. Okay, I think now would be a good time to end things off. Anyways, I really appreciate that you stuck around to watch this episode. You're a great viewer, and I hope you come back for the next one. If you like this video, like, subscribe, comment, share, do whatever you want. With that, I'll see you next time. Bye.